Ladies and gentlemen, there will come a day when you look in the mirror and realize you've been living someone else's dream. The job they told you to take, the lifestyle they told you to accept, the rules they told you to follow. And deep inside, you'll feel something whisper, "This isn't me." You weren't born to just pay bills and wait to die. You were born with gifts, with fire, with something unique the world needs to see. But the problem, most people spend their lives burying that fire because they're afraid of rejection, afraid of failure, afraid of what they might say. But let me tell you something. They don't pay your bills. They don't live your life. And they won't be there when you take your last breath. If you want to live life on your own terms, you have to take the wheel. Stop waiting for permission. Stop apologizing for wanting more. Start building a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. Living life your way means making hard decisions. It means saying no when everyone expects you to say yes. It means risking the comfort zone for the growth zone. And yes, it will be scary. Yes, you will fail. Yes, people will doubt you. But every step you take toward your own vision is a step away from regret. You see, the richest place in the world is not the gold mines of Africa or the oil fields of the Middle East. The richest place in the world is the graveyard, full of dreams never lived, ideas never tried, and potential never realized. Don't let your dreams be buried there. Today, make a decision to speak your truth, to follow your vision, to take the leap. And when the fear comes knocking, open the door and tell it. You have no power here because life is short, my friend. And you only get one shot at it. Don't waste it living by someone else's rules. Live your life on your terms. Too many people live their lives as if they are actors on someone else's stage, performing a script they never wrote, wearing costumes they never chose, delivering lines they never believed in. Every decision they make is weighed against a silent question. What will people think? And that one question is a prison, because when you live for approval, you trade authenticity for acceptance, and that is a deal you will always lose. The truth is, no matter how good you are, no matter how hard you try, there will always be someone who disagrees with you, misunderstands you, or flat out disapproves of you. You could be the sweetest fruit on the tree, and still someone will say they prefer oranges. That's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their taste. So stop rearranging your life to please a crowd that's constantly changing its mind. When you live for approval, you give other people the power to decide your destiny. You're handing them the steering wheel to your own life and hoping they'll take you somewhere you want to go. But they won't because they're driving toward their destination, not yours. The only way to get to where you truly want to be is to grab that wheel yourself and be unapologetic about the route you choose. You see, approval seeking is subtle. It shows up in how we dress, the careers we pick, the risk we avoid, the dreams we delay. You might tell yourself you're being practical or realistic, but deep down, it's often fear of looking foolish, fear of making mistakes, fear of being rejected. And the longer you let fear run the show, the more invisible your true self becomes. Here's the harsh reality. The people you're trying so hard to please are often too busy worrying about their own lives to notice yours. You're losing sleep over opinions they may not even remember tomorrow. And while you're holding back, waiting for their nod of approval, life is passing you by. The question is, when will you give yourself permission to live? Understand this. The moment you stop seeking approval is the moment you start breathing freely. You will walk differently, speak differently, and think differently because you're no longer playing to the audience. You're playing to your purpose. And that shift will not only free you, it will inspire others to do the same. Because nothing is more magnetic than someone who is fully themselves. Leaving without the need for approval doesn't mean you become arrogant or dismissive. It means you become grounded, so rooted in your values and vision that you no longer bend every time the wind of opinion blows. You listen to advice, yes. You learn from feedback, yes. But you never let the noise drown out your own voice, because at the end of the day, it is your life, your journey, and your story, and you are the only one who can write it. Inside every person is a spark, a light that is uniquely theirs. It's not given by society, not granted by a boss, not handed over by family. It is born within you from the moment you take your first breath. This inner fire is your passion, your calling, your God-given uniqueness. But here's the tragedy. Most people never learn to recognize it. They are so distracted by the noise of the world that they forget to listen to the whisper within. Your inner fire shows up as excitement when you think about something you love. It's that restlessness you feel when you know you're meant for more. It's the way time disappears when you're doing something that lights you up. That's not random. That's your soul trying to send you a message. This is who you are. This is what you were born to do. But too often we ignore it. We bury it under practicality and responsibility as if joy and purpose are luxuries we can't afford. The danger is if you ignore that fire long enough, it dims, not because it's gone, but because it's been smothered under years of compromise. You start convincing yourself that you're fine, but deep down, you know you're not thriving, you're just surviving. And survival alone is not the reason you were put on this earth. You were born to create, to contribute, to live fully. That fire inside you is the proof. Recognizing your inner fire requires courage. Courage to step back from the crowd and ask yourself the real questions. What do I love? What makes me feel alive? If money, fear, and judgment didn't exist, what would I be doing? Those answers might scare you because they may not match the life you're living right now. But that fear, that's just the doorway to your freedom. You see, the world benefits most when people live in alignment with their fire. A teacher who loves teaching will inspire students for life. A leader who leads with passion will ignite others to lead. A creator who creates from the heart will move people in ways logic never could. When you operate from your fire, you stop forcing life and start flowing with it. And people will feel it because passion is contagious. Don't wait for permission to embrace it. The world won't always applaud you for choosing your fire over their expectations, but that applause is not the fuel you need. Your fire is. It will give you energy when you're tired, hope when you're discouraged, and resilience when the road gets hard. That's why recognizing it is the most important step toward living your own truth. And remember, your fire may not look like anyone else's. It's not supposed to. You're not here to copy someone's journey. You're here to blaze your own trail. The key is to find it, feed it, and protect it. Because once you see your fire for what it is, you'll never settle for a life that tries to put it out. Most people wake up every day, follow the same routine, and never stop to question it. The alarm rings, they get dressed, they go to work, they come home, they scroll their phones, they sleep, then they do it all over again. Life becomes a loop, a repetitive cycle with no new spark, no fresh purpose. That's what living on autopilot looks like. And it's the fastest way to waste a life that could have been extraordinary. When you're on autopilot, your mind isn't really present. You're not living with intention. You're just reacting to whatever the day throws at you. And here's the danger. If you don't choose where you're going, someone else will choose for you. Your boss, your family, your circumstances, your fears, they'll all become the silent pilots of your journey. Before you know it, years pass and you wonder how you ended up somewhere you never planned to be. Refusing to live on autopilot means waking up and consciously deciding, this is the life I want to create. It's asking yourself each day, is what I'm doing today taking me closer to my dreams or just keeping me busy? Because there's a huge difference between movement and progress. You can run in circles all day and still be in the same place. Progress only happens when you move with purpose. The truth is, autopilot feels safe. It's predictable, familiar, and requires no extra energy. But safety can also be a trap. Comfort zones have invisible walls, and the longer you stay inside them, the more they shrink. One day, what used to be a choice becomes a cage, and escaping it feels impossible. That's why breaking out early matters. It's about shaking yourself awake before you've slept through your whole life. You break free from autopilot by injecting intentionality into your days. That means setting goals, trying new things, meeting different people, learning skills that excite you, and taking risks that stretch you. It's about trading just another day for a day that counts. And no, it doesn't mean every day will be perfect, but it will be yours. People sometimes think refusing autopilot requires a big, dramatic change, quitting your job, moving to another country, starting a new business overnight. But often it starts with small shifts: reading instead of scrolling, walking instead of watching TV, talking about dreams instead of gossip, investing in your future instead of numbing your present. Small steps done consistently have a way of turning the wheel toward a completely different destination. And here's the beautiful part: when you live with intention instead of habit, life starts to feel alive again. You notice opportunities you once ignored. You connect with people who inspire you. You experience moments that stick with you forever, because you're not just drifting anymore. You're steering, fully awake, fully engaged, creating a life that's worth remembering. One of the most life-changing skills you can develop is the ability to say no without guilt. Most people struggle with it because they're afraid of disappointing others, being seen as selfish, or causing conflict. So they keep saying yes to requests, commitments, and obligations that drain them. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your goals or values, you're saying no to something that does. And over time, that's how dreams quietly die, not from outright rejection, but from being starved of time and energy. The truth is, no is not a rejection of people. It's a protection of yourself. It's not about pushing others away. It's about pulling yourself closer to what matters most. When you learn to say no without guilt, you reclaim control over your time, your energy, and your mental space. And that's not selfish, that's necessary. You can't pour into others if you're constantly running on empty. Many people think saying no will make others dislike them or think less of them, but the opposite often happens. People may not like it in the moment, but they will respect you for having clear boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they're doors. They tell the world when and how you are available, and they allow you to protect the quality of what you give. Without them, you end up overextended, resentful, and far less effective in everything you do. Saying no also forces clarity. If you don't know your priorities, you'll say yes to everything because you have no compass guiding you. But when you know what matters most, no becomes easier because it's not a rejection of the person asking, it's commitment to your purpose. You stop making decisions based on pressure and start making them based on alignment. You don't have to be rude or harsh when saying no. In fact, saying it with respect and confidence often softens the blow. You can say, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't commit right now, or that's not something I can take on, but thank you for asking. The key is to be firm without over-explaining. The more you justify, the more you invite debate, and you don't need to defend your right to protect your own time. Once you begin saying no without guilt, something powerful happens. You create space for rest, for creativity, for new opportunities that actually excite you. You stop living in reaction mode, constantly pulled in every direction, and you start living in creation mode, intentionally shaping your days. And that's when you realize the real value of no is that it makes room for the right Wes. Remember this, every yes you give costs you something. Your time, your focus, your energy. The question is whether what you're saying yes to is worth the cost. If it isn't, you owe it to yourself to say no, clearly, confidently, and without guilt. Because protecting your boundaries is not a weakness, it's a strength that keeps you aligned with the life you're building. The comfort zone is seductive, it's warm, it's familiar, and it doesn't challenge you. It's the place where nothing feels risky, but nothing truly exciting happens either. The problem is, the comfort zone doesn't stay comfortable forever. Over time, it becomes a slow trap. You stop learning, stop stretching, stop discovering what you're truly capable of. The only way to unlock your real potential is to step into the growth zone, that space where fear and possibility live side by side. The growth zone isn't about recklessly throwing yourself into chaos. It's about intentionally choosing challenges that stretch you beyond what you thought was possible. Growth happens when you try something you've never done before, take a risk without knowing the outcome, or push past the voice in your head that says, you're not ready. Every great achievement you admire in others came from someone willing to walk into discomfort and stay there long enough to grow. Most people mistake comfort for safety. They think staying where they are protects them from failure. But here's the truth. Staying in your comfort zone doesn't protect you. It robs you. It robs you of new skills, new experiences, and the confidence that only comes from doing hard things. Ironically, the comfort zone slowly becomes the most dangerous place to live because it makes you think you're moving forward when you're really just standing still. In the growth zone, you'll face uncertainty. You'll doubt yourself. You'll have moments where you feel like you're in over your head. And that's exactly where transformation happens. You don't build strength in easy seasons. You build it in the stretch. Like a muscle, you grow by pushing past your current limits. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but so is staying small when you know you're meant for more. Choosing growth also changes how you see failure. In the comfort zone, failure feels like the end. In the growth zone, failure is a stepping stone. Every setback becomes a lesson, every obstacle a training ground. You stop fearing mistakes and start using them as fuel, because once you realize failure doesn't define you, but strengthens you, you stop avoiding challenges and start seeking them. The comfort zone asks, what's the easiest path? The growth zone asks, what's the path that will make me better? When you choose the latter, life stops feeling stagnant. Your skills expand, your confidence deepens, and your opportunities multiply. You begin to attract experiences and people that match your new level, because growth always draws more growth. Here's the key. The growth zone isn't a place you visit once. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset of constant learning, constant stretching, constant rising. Every time you take a leap, you redefine what's possible for you. And the more you do it, the more you realize the comfort zone was never truly comfortable. It was just familiar. Real life begins where familiarity ends. Failure has been given a bad name. People treat it like a curse, something to be avoided at all costs. From childhood, we're trained to see mistakes as proof that we're not good enough. But the truth is, failure is not the enemy. It's the instructor. Every time you fall short, you're handed an opportunity to learn something you couldn't have learned any other way. The greatest achievers in history didn't succeed because they avoided failure. They succeeded because they used it. Think about it. The first time you learned to walk, you fell. The first time you learned to ride a bike, you wobbled and maybe crashed. The first time you tried something truly challenging, you probably didn't get it right. Yet in those moments, failure didn't end you, it shaped you. Somewhere along the way, though, society convinced you that failure is shameful. But if you want to live on your own terms, you must flip that belief on its head. When you accept failure as a teacher, you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this here to teach me? That single shift turns setbacks into stepping stones. You begin to see patterns. Maybe you lack preparation. Maybe your timing was off. Maybe you need new skills. Instead of running from these truths, you embrace them. Because every piece of feedback you get from failure is a tool for your next attempt. Failure also teaches resilience. The first time you fail, it stings. The second time, it still hurts, but you recover faster. Over time, you develop a thicker skin and a stronger will. You start realizing that failure doesn't mean stop. It means just. That mental toughness becomes your greatest asset because it allows you to keep moving forward when others quit. One of the hidden gifts of failure is clarity. Sometimes, failing at one thing shows you where you're not meant to be and points you toward where you are meant to go. Many people end up in careers, relationships, or projects that only happened because something else didn't work out. And when they look back, they realize that failure wasn't a detour, it was a redirection. Accepting failure as a teacher also means taking ownership. It's easy to blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck. But the most powerful growth happens when you take responsibility, when you say, this didn't work out, and here's what I'm going to do differently next time. You step into the driver's seat of your life. You're no longer a victim of your setbacks. You're a student of them. And perhaps the most important thing failure teaches is humility. It reminds you that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. It keeps you curious, open to learning, and willing to evolve. In a world where many people fear looking foolish, being someone who embraces failure will set you apart. Because the truth is, the ones who are willing to fail the most are the ones who end up winning the most. One of the biggest invisible chains holding people back is the fear of what others might think. It's that voice in your head saying, what if they laugh? What if they don't approve? What if I fail in front of them? This fear keeps dreams locked away, talents hidden, and potential wasted. And here's the truth. No matter what you do, someone will have an opinion. You cannot escape judgment, but you can decide that it will not control you. The fear of judgment is rooted in a deep human need for belonging. We want to be liked, accepted, and understood. But when the need for approval outweighs the need for authenticity, you start living a life designed to please the crowd instead of serving your purpose. That's when your true self begins to fade, not because it's gone, but because you've hidden it to avoid criticism. Here's the reality. People's opinions are shaped by their own fears, limitations, and experiences, not by your truth. Someone may discourage you from starting a business because they failed at theirs. Someone might judge your creative work because they never had the courage to create. Often, their judgment has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the lens through which they see the world. When you reject the fear of judgment, you give yourself permission to live fully. You start speaking your truth without editing yourself to make it more acceptable. You dress how you want, pursue the career you want, take the risks you want. not because everyone agrees with you, but because you agree with you. And that kind of self-alignment is far more valuable than universal approval. The fear of judgment loses power when you take action in spite of it. The more you do things people might disapprove of and realize you're still standing, the freer you become. You start to understand that judgment is just noise. It can be loud, but it's powerless unless you give it weight. The real damage doesn't come from the opinions of others. It comes from letting those opinions stop you from moving forward. Think about it. The people you admire most are rarely the ones who played it safe to avoid criticism. They're the ones who took bold action despite being judged, laughed at, or doubted. Innovators, artists, leaders, change makers, they all faced rejection and they all kept going. Why? Because they valued their vision more than the comfort of being liked. And the moment you stop fearing judgment, something shifts. You become magnetic. People are drawn to authenticity, to the courage of someone living unapologetically. You'll still be judged, but now it won't matter. You'll understand that judgment says more about the person giving it than the person receiving it. And that's when you're truly free to live your life on your own terms.